So it took about 20 minutes to finish exporting a 10-bit 422 1080p file shot at 30 frames per second in Apple log. Not bad for a MacBook that was made 3 years ago.
Like a real new anthem. Shawty saw my wallet, now she think a new ransom. Whoa, telling me she wanted me to hammer. Trying to get saved, baby, I am not the answer. No.
So it's been 3 years since the MacBook M2 Pro came out. And since then, we've seen more powerful MacBooks with better chips that are making the MacBook become more expensive every year. All this begs the question, are the older MacBooks such as the M2 Pro still a good buy in 2026? Or should you just wait for the next big thing? I'll try and answer that in this video. Now, before I let you decide what is best for you, the main question you should ask yourself is, what do I need a MacBook for? When I got my MacBook, I had just started my master's, and I had other interests ranging from UI UX to editing videos and pictures. I could have gone for the M1, which is still a good MacBook for all the tasks that I mentioned, but I knew at some point I would want to dabble in After Effects and even coding. So I had to ask myself, what would allow me to do basic tasks such as using Microsoft Office at the same time not break down if I want to use After Effects? This led me to get my 13-inch MacBook M2 Pro. It is spec'd out with an Apple M2 chip, an 8-core CPU, and a 10-core GPU. It also had 8 GB of RAM and 512 GB of storage. I got my MacBook refurbished at $1,041 from Back Market in 2024. And it felt like it was brand new. However, you will be at an advantage if you want to get one right now, as the prices have significantly dropped. Now, let's go to the tasks we may perform in our everyday life, ranging from the light-hearted tasks to the heavy-duty tasks. If you're someone who wants to answer emails and needs the MacBook for school, then you have no reason to worry at all. The 8-core CPU on the M2 allows you to have your emails open, have a paper in Microsoft Word, and be working on a PowerPoint presentation all at the same time. While all these are going on, it's still very easy to switch between apps, and opening your apps as well isn't a hassle. So if that's all you want the M2 for, you're in good hands.
Let me chuck this thing and be proud of it.
Stepping up the task, we go into the world of coding. I've been dabbling in data analysis using Python to code, and the process has been relatively smooth. I have been dabbling in data analysis for a while, and I've been using Udemy as a learning platform. So before I started, I had to check the single score and the multi-score processing of my computer. This just helps you know how your computer can handle single and multiple tasks simultaneously. So this is for data analysis on the MacBook, an ideal Geekbench. 6 multi-score is 12,000 plus, found in the M3s, the M4s, Pro and Max chips to ensure fast data processing. M1, M2s and M3s are adequate for light analysis. For heavy data sets, prioritize a multi-score and at least 18 GB to 36 GB plus of unified memory over the highest possible benchmark. So for the Geekbench score of my MacBook, after checking the Geekbench browser, it has a 2,668 single score and a 10,063 multi-score. Basically, it's within the same range that was said on Google, but again, for heavy data sets, prioritize 18 to 36 GB of unified memory. So this just means that my computer, the MacBook M2, is good for data analysis, but you have to use it for light tasks. The moment you start getting into larger and larger data sets, you do have to upgrade. So for someone who is getting into data analysis or any programming at all, if it's lighthearted data sets that you're dealing with, then the M2 should be a good choice. But if you're going to start dabbling with heavy data sets, then I would suggest getting an M2 with a higher CPU and GPU, with also a higher RAM, or you just save up and get either M3 and M4, or if you have the money for it, an M5. The heaviest tasks I have used my M2 for have come when stepping into creative workloads such as photo editing or video production. The Retina display makes color appear cleaner, which makes video editing easy. Edits on Lightroom are fast, and it doesn't take time to export, even with apps and tabs running in the background. For video editing, the M2's 10-core GPU and dedicated media engines help accelerate time scrubbing and export speeds. So I'm looking at a recent project I've done, the last video I uploaded. So this is the last video I uploaded. It's a 10-bit 422p file, shot on Apple log. Scrubbing through the timeline is smooth. Playing back also is easy. So I just want to see how long it takes the M2 to export this file. There's a lot of things in the timeline as well, but I just want to see how long it takes the M2 to export it with things in the background. So we're gonna hit export and entire source. Export it at 20 VBR. I already have my YouTube preset. Right now the time is 5:45 p.m. Let's see how long it takes to export. It just finished exporting and this is 6:01. I kind of started at 5:43. So it took about 20 minutes to finish exporting a 10-bit 422 1080p file shot at 30 frames per second in Apple log. Not bad for a MacBook that was made 3 years ago. Personally, editing and exporting of such files won't be too much of an issue. The issue arises when you want to do more complex tasks. In my case, I want to start adding more intense motion graphics to my videos. Also, I do not think editing a 4K file from a camera such as the Sony a7 VI would be much of a good experience. To wrap this video up, again, the main question should be, what do you need the M2 for? If you want to perform light-hearted tasks such as office work or academic work, you do not need to break the bank and go for the M3s, the M4s, or even the M5s. Although, make sure you buy from certified retailer. However, if you're someone like me who always try to learn new skills or improve on the skills you have, then upgrading or saving up for a new MacBook is the best choice. Or at the very least, getting an M2 with a higher CPU, a higher GPU, and a high unified memory. Personally, anything above a 10-core CPU, a 16-core GPU, and 16 gigabytes of RAM should suffice. I hope to have helped with making a decision easy. Please like, comment, subscribe, and see you all in the next video.
Smoking spliffs until our lungs burst. We some young birds who made our way out of the cage.